YouTube, what's going on and what is Sledgehammer doing, man? This stuff's crazy, bringing us the content for the ages, trying to make changes to Call of Duty and making a lot happen in these last few days. The update comes out on Tuesday, so it's going to be pretty insane to see how this update really changing all of the basic trainings, changing all of the divisions, and making tweaks to almost everything in that sense. There's a lot of worries already that some of the divisions could be really unbalanced. A lot of pros are worried about what could happen to the COD scene, and I can totally understand why. I mean, there's a lot that could go wrong with this update, and we're going to unpack it and go through everything that Sledgehammer dropped that is important to competitive Call of Duty, and then we're going to go through how it will and could affect the competitive Call of Duty scene. Before we actually start talking about it, just YouTube's made all these changes lately, so now, you know, when you subscribe to someone, it doesn't actually mean that you're going to see all their videos. So to make sure you guys are seeing all the videos, just hit that notification button right next to the subscribe button. I know you guys know where that thing is. Just pop that on, and you'll make sure you won't miss a video. I really would appreciate it. And now, with that said, let's get right into the update, baby. So there's a few changes that they announced that are going to affect every aspect of the Call of Duty gameplay, and that's that there's unlimited sprint now for all classes, which is just ridiculous. 3 attachments for all weapons. A stun and a lethal now come with all loadouts. All grenades have a 10% damage nerf, and snipers can hold their breath for 10 seconds now, which before was only 4. So that's a massive increase in a sniper's ability to aim down sights and just hose somebody the second they peek. And so, I mean, that's going to affect competitive in itself. And then there's a few other changes that might be relevant as well, where shell shock was slightly reduced, but for all classes as well. Tacticals got a 10% nerf in duration, so that's kind of nice. I mean, I like that. The basic training energetic now only increases your sprint speed by apparently significant amounts. They haven't released how much that is yet, so that's gonna be something we're gonna have to test this week when it comes out. And then the other thing they mentioned specifically about competitive was they wanted instincts, the basic training instincts, to be used in competitive, which I'm not sure if it'll ever be good enough to actually be used. But basically, it removes the effects of shell shock, and it removes the effect of all tactical equipment. So it gives you a little bit of that tac mask vibe with shell shock reduction, or I guess the removal of shell shock. So I mean, maybe it's used, but probably won't be good enough to actually ever use. So honestly, those aren't even the biggest changes they made. The biggest changes are when it comes to the infantry and armored classes. It's going to completely change up the meta when it comes to what type of classes people use with armored, infantry, airborne, the complexes with that inside of search and destroy, inside of hardpoint. It's going to be really crazy to see. So what they did with infantry now is that they still allow you to have that extra attachment. So now you can have 4 attachments on your gun just normally. Then your pistol can have 2 attachments, and you switch weapons faster. I mean, so really at the end of the day, that's a really powerful addition where you get that 4th attachment, plus you get to have that pistol with a 2nd attachment, and you switch weapons significantly faster. That could be a big difference for ARs. And another effect they added was that infantry reduces the amount of idle sway you have by about 30%. So that's honestly pretty significant. The idle sway is extremely annoying with the bar or the STG. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects the gameplay. I don't think it's going to have as big of an effect as some people may think it does, but at the end of the day, armored is what's going to make the biggest difference. They decided to completely revamp how armored is used, and it's pretty ridiculous. So the first thing they did was they increased how much damage reduction armored gives you. So it used to be 65%, now it's 80%, so that was a buff right off the bat. Armored makes you immune to shell shock and tactical as well. What they ended up doing is they got rid of primed, and then they added that into armored. So armored gives you a flinch reduction as well, and then they gave you FMJ. So now anybody who has an armored class on is running FMJ. I don't know if armored's gonna survive in esports. It could get banned, because at this point, I would be surprised in Hardpoint if you don't see at least 3 armoreds on each team. Then the fact is, if you know everybody else is running armored, there's no point in running stuns because everybody else is immune to those. So then you're gonna have to run smokes. So really what's gonna end up happening is that there could be 6 to 8 smokes on the map at all times. And I don't understand why they decided to add in a tactical for everybody. It must be a pub thing, but even in pubs, tactical is the most annoying things in the game, and I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea to add in the tacticals. That's going to be a big problem for MLG and for the CWL, and I don't know if armored's going to survive. At this point, armored's going to be the way to go, I think. Of course, there's going to be still a lot of advantages to running airborne and infantry with the speed increases in airborne, and then with infantry's attachments and sway reduction and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's enough to counter the power that armored has to be by far the best division. And so in most situations, especially in respawn, you're going to see mostly armored on the map. With that said, there's a lot of changes coming up. I'm excited to try them out this week, but there's a lot that the MLG is going to have to work through, and the pros are going to have to talk about and figure out if they want to keep armored in the game or not. So with that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, like, comment, and subscribe. Share it if you guys really enjoyed it. I really do appreciate it. But as always, guys, I'm your boy, SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.